Hi, Sincerely Sisters, and welcome back to Sincerely American. We have some fun topics to cover for you guys today, so let's hop right into it. All right, Camryn, this one we've been laughing about for a little while now. I feel like we've wanted to touch on this for a while. Maximizing your day. Should this be controversial? And we'll roll the reel. Okay, for our listening audience, it's a reel that says, my problem is I think every day should look like this. And it's this guy in this beautiful fur coat and he's eating burrata. He has olives. He has his little drink going on and he's putting his little balsamic vinegar. And Cameron and I joke all the time, like, this is like literally like we live this way. You would think like we like pretend to like live like millionaires, but we're not.
No, I love this so much. I mean, if COVID taught us anything, it was that it was more abnormal to be isolated from everyone and everything and, just be cooped up in your home or wherever you were all day. That's not natural to humans. Like, you should be out and about. That's the beauty about America too, is there's so many different restaurants to try and so many different people to meet. And like the fact that he's out, it could be on a random Tuesday. This is me and Jamie Core. Like, we will go to a random restaurant that's like a 5-star dining experience in the middle of a day while our husbands are working. Like, we have that luxury. It's amazing. And we know we're very, very blessed. But I mean, this is how we live our life. And it makes you just a happier person. You're more social that way. You feel more productive too, because you actually went about your day a little bit differently. You're not, sitting inside your home all day. So I'm all for this. I think this is more natural for humans, just to like have this connection with, the wait staff and, trying nice foods and like just living your life.
Okay, I like agree with everything you said, but I'm going to push back a little bit, Cam. Like, listen to me. So my parents will say all the time, because we talk so much in this day and age about how Gen Z can't afford to buy a house. We can't afford to buy anything anymore. And all we do is like go spend our money on frivolous things. And it is true. I am so guilty of this. Like, genuinely, I'm guilty of that. And so are you, Cam. And my parents are like, Jayme, when we were your age, we were saving up for a house. We were working our butts off and we were not going out and getting like 5-star meals and eating at all these nice restaurants and traveling the world like you do. And so I do think, like, I hate, like, the boomer avocado toast where, like, the reason why millennials and Gen Z aren't buying houses is because of avocado toast and, like, buying lattes every day. I roll my eyes at that because obviously things were like way less expensive back when they were our age. But at the same time, there is some truth to this that even my parents who did well back at, 28 years old. I'm now 28 actually. But at 28 years old, they did well, but they were all about saving their money and getting it and putting it into a house. And they were like, it was actually a treat to eat out versus I feel like with you and I, we just treat it like it's like a regular thing. And I do think that kind of contributes to just the whole culture. And I think it has to do with Instagram too and social media. It's like everybody wants to post where they are doing something cool. No one wants to be at home being lame, but I see it kind of as a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I think that life is all about balance too. So I totally agree with you. I don't think that you should abuse that and actually realize that it is a blessing to be able to go out and to have nice food and a nice dining experience. But I do think that people should incorporate being more social that way. And I understand what you're saying to like every single degree, what you're talking about. It's also just more it's unaffordable to like get a home right now for Gen Z. Like, we're seeing this housing crisis. And so yeah, I do think people need to learn how to buckle down, don't overconsume. We see like an overconsumption culture on TikTok all the time because it's so easy to press a button now with like Amazon Prime and TikTok Shop. Everything just shows up to your house the next day. And then obviously we have Uber Eats, DoorDash, things like that make it so accessible to be lazy and to spend more money at the same time. So I totally agree with you there. But I do think that people should just delight in their life and they should go out and have fun with their friends every once in a while and just don't take anything too seriously. But obviously with a healthy balance too. I'm not advocating for you to be fiscally irresponsible or, put in time in places where you should be working or doing other things. But I do think life's all about balance. And if you want to go have a nice meal with your spouse or with your friends, I don't see the problem in this.
Okay, I will also say this, Cam. I think that there's been kind of a transition when you saw with like millennials was like, I'm gonna girl boss era, I'm gonna go work this corporate job and achieve all these big things. No hate towards that whatsoever. But I think you have seen with like Gen Z and especially our age with like women that we're like, no, we want our mans to provide us this amazing life and we want to be doing our Pilates and we want to be stay at home moms and we want to be going out and brunching. Like that's like the goal in life. So I do think that kind of touches on that as well, that I think just like women want more of nowadays, like in our generation, more of that like very feminine, relaxed lifestyle where they want to be like the tennis moms and everything. And I do kind of love that because that's very traditional to an extent. It's like being that stay at home mom and having that man that provides like an incredible life. So I do think it's good. But like I said, I do think it does contribute to the culture where people will go out and buy, these crazy meals like few times a week or an outfit for every event. And then they're like stuck in this renting cycle because they do live paycheck to paycheck. So I do think it's a double-edged sword. But you know what's another thing I was saying on, Cameron? As someone who does love cooking, cooking at home is also really expensive. Like groceries are expensive nowadays. Obviously, President Trump has done a lot to bring down prices. I fully stand by that. He's doing a lot, but still, like from what we saw with Biden, there's a lot of work still to be done and he's accomplishing it. But I am personally, some people are really good and I've been trying to get better at this. I think I did this in like my New Year's resolution. I've been trying to get better at like buying specific groceries where then I like utilize all of the groceries instead of just like buying, for example, some produce that just sits in my fridge and I use it only for one meal and instead rolling that over to the next meal. But I'm just not good at that. Like I feel like I'll buy a bunch of food to make all of these like very intricate meals and then I just like let a lot of food go to waste. And then next thing you know, it's like my grocery bill is like $300 a week.
Yeah, it's because we buy a lot of fresh produce too. So you only have like a small amount of time in order to use, the veggies or any of the fruits that you get. Especially because I know you buy stuff for Vibby's like smoothies in the morning sometimes, and that like can be those fruits or veggies that can only stay in the fridge for like a week. So it is hard, but I luckily with, not, we don't just have Pinterest like Gen Z, we have like TikToks and we have Reels where it's like these one pot meals or any other meals where you can use some of that stuff. And it's just so accessible to see like what snacks you can make with that too. But with the IG Reels and stuff, I understand now like it's being romanticized, like a soft life is being romanticized where, like you said, the Pilates, the Porsche, the living by the beach or walking by the water and like, taking yourself out to nice restaurants with your girlfriends and like shopping all day. And I agree that some like for a lot of people that is not realistic because, people need to work and things like that. So I understand how Instagram can just fuel this culture of never feeling like it's enough. But I think if you're realistic about it and you just incorporate like a balance where you're able to have fun times with your friends, but when it's time to lock in and work, then, you can make that happen for yourself where you have everything in moderation in life, whether it's like going out with your friends for a meal like a month or going out with your spouse like maybe like once every other week. Like I do think you should incorporate things for yourself sometimes and live for yourself and just like be happy, I guess.
There is nothing we love more than a good mimosa brunch where we put down the
I
drinks
know.
and talk. I feel like it's like girls' love language. And I agree. You should get together and we have a good time. Everything in moderation, right? Okay, transitioning, totally different subject here, but we love this. We love her. Kai Trump, talk about aspirational. Like, I swear to God, she has just such goals. Like, literally, she's amazing. I'm glad that she's getting out there more during the second term because obviously she's a little bit older now and is a little more forward facing, and she does an amazing thing with her golf and everything and does all of her little TikTok videos. It's so fun. She's like beautiful. I feel like everyone's like obsessed with Kai Trump right now. But she did a podcast interview the other day where she says she likes staying out of politics because she thinks it's dangerous. And she also mentioned that she thinks both sides have become a little too extreme. What are your thoughts, Cam?
She makes a really great point because I don't think that she really even touched on like the danger of the fact where, I think her and her entire family saw her grandfather an attempted assassination attempt on her grandfather at a rally. So I obviously think for physical safety reasons, it can be dangerous. She also goes on in the interview talking about how Secret Service does have to follow her on some dates, or if she's with her friends wanting to go to the movies or like partake in any normal activity, that her life has, kind of changed that way. And she's had to make sure she doesn't put that at the forefront of her mind and still tries to live a normal life that way. So I can understand from that perspective why it would be dangerous too, being in the spotlight like that, obviously in a very divisive climate. So I think, but on the flip side of that, where she goes and she talks about how both sides it's become very, very polarized and very far left or very far right. I just think that her parents raised her very well. Like I listened to this video. I'm like, this is common sense back again. Like she's so young too. I do have to applaud her wisdom for being so young and being so articulate in her thoughts and being so relatable too. I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, especially once you step out of like politics from like a bird's eye perspective, right? Because obviously we're still in it. We do TV, we have this show, like we are in it. You're in the DC area, so constantly being surrounded by it. But if you step back from a bird's eye view, a lot of people when it comes to politics just don't want the government involved at all, and they don't want to know about it. And a lot of people have stopped watching the news. That's why you're seeing a lot of these ratings tank, and traditional media is dying essentially. And we're seeing more media, obviously like social media and things like that, continue to climb. But I think with her, it is a dangerous game to play because I do think people can get overconsumed by it. They can take headlines way too literally. And it's like doomsday every single day if you're consuming this media and these headlines and all of this all of the time. I don't think that humans were like meant to do that.
I
And
agree.
so I do think, especially somebody at like her age with the trajectory that she's on golfing at the University of Miami or Miami U down in Florida, and just like living her life and her YouTube and all the things that she has going for her, I would just say, yeah, continue on that trajectory because yes, politics can get very divisive and cold sometimes, and it is dangerous in a sense where I think people can get too wrapped up into it sometimes.
I agree with everything that you said. And I think you're so right. People let politics rule their life. And, for you and I, we've made a career out of this. So that's different because we've devoted our career. But there's a lot of people that haven't and just like live a normal life and they still let politics rule their life completely, as we've seen for the last 2 weeks in Minneapolis, where these people just go out and riot all day because they're so angry over the news constantly. And it's refreshing when someone's like, I'm just not going to go there. Like, I just want to keep things fun and light, what I put out on the internet. I'm sure Kai has her own beliefs behind the scenes. I think she's very supportive of her grandfather, and that's amazing. But I think she just is being smart with this. Like, I don't need to add more fuel to the fire. There's already enough voices out there. And I'll say this as well. Like, I think she's 18 years old, right, Cam?
Yeah, I think she is.
I don't need, maybe she might be 17 turning 18, but she's below the age of 20. She's still a teenager. And like, frankly, I don't think it's a good idea for like teenagers to necessarily be like going out and putting their political opinions out to the world constantly, because I'm happy at 18, I was not putting my political opinions out to the world, because I think you sometimes need some time to develop, go through college, maybe have a job first and kind of see how the world works before like you're commenting on everything. And so I just love her. Like, I just think she has a really realistic approach to this. And I think, like you said, she was raised well and she's a smart girl. And I think she has a lot of young girls that follow her and she wants to keep things fun and light. And I think people want that in this day and age. We're sick of, like you said, the doom and gloom, the constant negativity and the constant anger. And as someone who works in politics, I even have politics fatigue and I love politics, but it just becomes so divisive. And you're just like, it feels like with some of these people, there's just no winning them over. And so it is nice to have, like, I don't want all my TV shows, I don't want all my famous people having to comment on politics all the time. Like, there are places that I want more like neutral type content out there. And so I'm a big fan of this. I think she's like going down the right road with this. And, when she is really passionate about something, maybe down the line, then she can take a stand. But I think it's obvious she supports her grandfather and supports her dad, who's obviously very involved. And I think she's doing a great job.
Yeah, I do too. She's way beyond her years, and I do think that there's like such a societal pressure, especially nowadays, like amongst, influencers like Kai Trump, where they're trying to force other influencers to speak out on politics. And it's just like if you've got a niche, like Kai has her niche with golf and YouTube and like lifestyle trends, keep that up. Like she's already got her niche. She's built a brand around it. I know she launched a clothing line as well. And so she's obviously very successful. I don't think that it's necessary for, even if she does have the last name Trump, she can 100% support her family and be a family girl at heart. But I don't think that every single influencer needs to comment on politics all the time. Sometimes I follow influencers for fashion reasons, or I follow them because they make really funny content and I just like watching the videos. But I sometimes wouldn't want to hear those people's opinions. I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to hear Kai's. I love Kai and I would want to hear more from her. And that's why I wanted to mention her on this podcast, because I thought it was great that she went on to talk about this. But especially I see a lot of liberal fashion influencers that I follow really trying to pressure and target other influencers to speak out. I'm like, I'd rather you not, honestly, because what if you don't even know what you're talking about? And you already have your niche and you're great at fashion. Like people wouldn't follow, I feel like people wouldn't follow me all the time because of fashion. It's because we post about our political beliefs. That's become our brand, and therefore, we kind of stick with that. It's like if I follow you for fashion or whatnot, like I'm not following to hear your political belief, truly.
You just
And I think that's
alienate people.
dangerous. Yeah, it is dangerous because then you prop up these influencers like, like we've seen this, like Alex Cooper and all these other influencers, or even Alex Earl. And I really like Alex Earl, but I wouldn't necessarily say that like her lifestyle is always, aspirational for young women. So I just don't think it's necessary to hear their politics. And also there was one time she like commented on the immigration stuff
I
too, and
remember that.
I was just like, I don't want to hear your political beliefs, truly. I want to watch how you're like on Dancing with the Stars and having fun, you
Hmm.
know?
Okay, going off a very similar vein, which is a lot of like most Christians, I don't think it's a surprise in this country. I think actually a lot of political lines go to secular people versus Christians or religious people in general. But there are Christians who lean more liberal and they can be outspoken. And Cam sent me this TikTok the other day, and I thought this was an interesting subject to cover.
I love abortion and trans people and migrants and birth control and immigrants and gay people and having fun and just being a nice and overall good person.
And for our listening audience, it says, when people ask me what type of Christian I am. So, Cam, do you think in this day and age, and I wouldn't have said this a few years ago, but in this day and age, do you think that you can be a Democratic voter and also be a faithful Christian?
No. And if you listen to this video, it says like I love abortion, I love trans people, I love gay people. And it's like, okay, you can love your neighbor as thyself and you can continue to treat them the way that you want it to be treated, but you don't have to love these things. You don't have to sit on the sidelines and just completely not disavow any sort of sin or evil not to cause problems. Actually, I think that the Lord wants the opposite from us. He wants us to stand firm in our beliefs and be our own people and be grounded in our faith. And you can do that in such a way where you're not like casting judgment on people all the time. And so, no, I mean, I think with today's political climate, it's just not, you can't do it. You just can't do it. You can't be liberal and you can't be like a devout Christian because look at what they're doing to our country. Look at like what they're doing with abortion and all of these other social issues as well, pushing this on to children, especially
Hmm.
with the trans movement, especially women's locker rooms and women's sports not having our own spaces. It's just gone way too far in society where you can just sit back and condone that. I mean, I think any person with common sense is like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute, something's not right. Like, can we just get back? And I think it also comes from this thing in society too, especially in our younger culture in Gen Z, where they want to normalize everything. It's like a TikTok trend to be like, can we normalize or can we normalize this? And it's like, actually, I miss the days where like you were called out for being weird for that. Like you're a weirdo. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to
I know. It's
normalize
so
this
true.
culture.
Normalize everything. It's like bring back shame. Yeah, I don't say this like lightheartedly because I don't like to be overly divisive, but I really do think it's impossible to be a faithful Christian and vote for the Democratic Party. And there's
Mhm.
many reasons that. One, Democrats hate Christians. They hate Christianity. They call this country all the time out for being Christian nationalists and all of these things. And so their entire agenda is to break down the church and break down Christian influence in this country. So there's one, that attack on just Christianity in general that you hear from the left all the time. And let's not forget, in 2024, the number one issue for people voting for Kamala Harris was abortion. That was the number one juggernaut to get these women out to vote, was for abortion. And I think that's a really, really sad state of society. And it's just completely incompatible with Christian faith. We believe in the right to life. We believe in protecting life. It's just clear in the Bible. And she talks about the trans issue. She talks about the gay issue. The trans issue is also very clearly laid out in the Bible. He made them man and woman, speaking about God. And we don't believe as Christians that you can just go and change your sex. I believe that as a Christian. I also believe that on a biological level as well, that it's impossible to change your sex. And, when it comes to the gay issue as well, the Bible is also very clear in Leviticus that it does not condone a gay lifestyle. And like you said, Camryn, I think that's 100% true. You do not, as Christians, we are not hateful. I think you rarely see Christians coming out and being outwardly hateful or causing any violence towards people who live a lifestyle that they disagree with or is incompatible with the Bible and Christian values. I do believe that this is a free country in America and you can live the life that you choose to live as long as you're not harming others or going against the law. But at the same time, we do need to be we need to speak out as Christians and remain true in our values. And we can, I think it is love at the end of the day when you are speaking on biblical values and trying to improve other people's lives and guide them in a better direction. As you mentioned, not just celebrating everything. We saw with the gay movement, for example, it went from acceptance, which I think I agree that, you shouldn't be hateful towards people who live differently than you. Sorry, it went from toleration to acceptance to celebration. And I'm not going to take part as a Christian in celebrating, waving the gay trans flag everywhere, because I don't believe that that lifestyle is in accordance with our biblical values and what Jesus intended for our lives. And you can separate that. You can still love someone who might live a different life than you, but also not condone it personally. But, you see with the left, we saw Joe Biden inviting trans people that were ripping off their tops on the White House lawn. This is a party that just completely runs off abortion and pushing divisive values. And I don't know, as a faithful Christian, how you can stand behind this. And especially as a Catholic, I don't know how you can stand behind the Democratic Party because they're just so antithetical to everything that we believe as Christians. Okay, now transitioning to a completely different topic. We're all over the map, which is what I think our girls love about this podcast. We'll cover some hardcore issues and then we'll also get to some fun things. So this just popped up today. Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola Peltz. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I feel like all of our girls have seen this. So this is Victoria and David Beckham's son. He married this actress, Nicola Peltz. Their wedding was a few years ago. It was all over Vogue. They're obviously a beautiful couple. And there's been like a lot of gossip about them not getting along with their parents and that there's a lot of strife between the Beckhams and Nicola. And we've just heard that, for years now. And it's always interesting. I feel like people love some tea. And today, Brooklyn Beckham came out and posted this long Instagram story. It was multiple pages, you guys, where he was going into detail about how Victoria and David apparently sabotaged their wedding and have been terrible to Nicola. That's what he alleges in these Instagram posts. And everybody has a hot take right now about this. I feel like it's relatable because like a lot of people deal with like different family dynamics and everything. Cam, what is your take about this whole situation?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you sent this to me today, and so I read it and I was like, oof, like I'm not in favor of like dishing out dirty laundry on social media or like the clapbacks or anything, but I really do, after reading this, just think that he had enough. And the Bible does call us, like when we get married, it says, husbands, like leave your mother and father and you become one flesh with your wife under a marital covenant. And so there's a reason that this is mentioned multiple times in scripture. And so with this, when I saw of every little thing in like sequential order adding up, where like his mom just completely stopped working on her dress in the 11th hour, to sabotaging the first dance, to like making it about herself, and then all of the press and the manipulation tactics like in media in order to spin this narrative, like I think he had just had enough. I truly believe that that was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. And he probably just didn't want to hear it anymore. And sometimes, like, maybe I don't even think that this was him putting gasoline on a fire, though. I think that it was him just putting water over it, putting it to bed of like, I don't want this to be misconstrued any longer. This is exactly what happened. And I do think that there's two sides to every story. And there was a long time where he wasn't telling his side. And that's what led to all this speculation in the media. And so I think that this kind of put it to bed of here's what happened. And, you know, you can pick your side and go from there.
I don't know how I feel about this. We talked about this on the last episode. I was like, propaganda I'm not falling for is posting receipts and airing out your dirty laundry and having some like huge feud online. Like, I think a lot of people deal with different things in their family, but I always think like that is your family at the end of the day. That is your blood. That is all you have. It would take so much for me to ever come out against my own mother and father, like publicly like that. I think you handle that behind the scenes. And, you know, I'm also going to be honest, Camryn, like these kind of do seem like frivolous problems. Like, oh my God, she was not nice during the wedding and there was like different things. Like, there's people who are just working paycheck to paycheck to be able to like put food on the table for their kids. And it's kind of like these people have like never worked a day in their lives. They all come from like both of them they're Nepo babies that come from just like so much money. And so they can just harp on all of these frivolous issues. And I don't know if I think it's right to like post in detail about your family and this fight. And I think families are so complicated. Like, I'm not defending if Victoria and David have acted this way. I don't think you should treat, you know, your son and your daughter-in-law in that way. I'm not defending at all if this is true. But once again, we don't know if it's true because this is just his, you know, side of the story. It's hard to ever know the truth because we weren't in the room and we haven't like viewed all of this. But I think family issues are so layered. Like this can be like years and years and years of like different things and different attacks and different whatever from both sides. And usually both people in this party have like their own, you know, side of the story, how they were wronged here and they were wrong there and they're right. And so I just think like family dynamics are so complicated that it just should never be something that's shared with the public. I just believe that. Like he's coming out against his own parents. Like that is very sad. And I don't know, the issues, I'm not saying it's right to ever sabotage someone's wedding. Obviously weddings are very important to people and that's not right. Once again, we don't know fully if this is the truth. This is allegedly what he's saying. But it does feel a little frivolous. Like there's people in countries who are like dying. There's people trying to get food on the table for their kids. And it's like you're complaining about like a wedding dress coming from a billionaire heiress. Like it's kind of a little pathetic. And I don't know. I also hate like it's like the siblings are blocking them online. Like I'm like, this is, I don't know. I just find it overall, I guess like to wrap this into a little bow, it's just trashy.
Yeah, I understand that it's definitely, like you said, it's frivolous. It's like first world problems, right? Like there's people who are starving in third world countries and we're fighting homelessness on the streets.
People
and
are
there's
dealing
just
with
so
like
many other
alcoholic
things.
and drug addict family members or like a family member in jail, right? Like that's why I'm saying no one's killed anyone. No one's like gotten a DUI or gone on like some huge crime spree. Like it's a wedding dress and a dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think behind closed doors, especially since they're so public, because I don't condone this either, Jayme. Let's just be very clear. I do think that this is trashy behavior, but I also have to put myself in their shoes. They are so public and they signed up for that public life. And if you had your own parents, if there's any merit or truth to that, which I don't know because there wasn't receipts of them planting stories, so who knows? But let's just say in some hypothetical scenario there was, and his own family was using manipulation tactics in order to like feed a certain media narrative to the press to publish against their own son, their own flesh and blood. That's where I'm like, okay, well maybe this was warranted. Like maybe this was warranted, and I think that maybe there tried to be reconciliation behind closed doors. It seems like he was blocked. He tried to spend his birthday with his dad and he wasn't allowed to. There's obviously two sides to every story, and I don't think that, you know, I just don't think they should have gone public with this at all. I don't think the parents, if it were true about them planting stories in the media, I don't think they should have done that.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably shouldn't have posted the story. But I think he posted the story because they were planting all that bad press against him and his wife. So
well, the tea is hot and piping, and I'll be
Yeah.
patiently waiting for the response. But I thought that was interesting. I feel like people can relate. Like, a lot of people are like, the in-laws, the family dynamics. It's a complicated world out there, you guys.
Like, come on, like everyone's messy.
Yeah,
like, let's be
everyone's
real.
messy behind closed doors. Like, everyone's messy. I love that. Okay, headed into our next section, I have no words, where we always have a lot of words for these things. All right, you guys, this week for I Have No Words, Camryn and I have been talking about this, and I feel like we actually haven't even talked about this topic that much, so I was dying to chat about this with you, Cam. So a candidate for Florida governor came out and proposed a 50% sin tax on OnlyFans earners. And this has to do with an OnlyFans girl named Sophie Rain who lives in Florida. And it is crazy. I will say this, Camryn. It is insane to me that these OnlyFans girls are raking in, like, I'm talking hundreds of millions of dollars by posting videos and photos of themselves naked online. Like, where's the line on this? Because, I think both of us, I can speak on behalf of us. We're both free market capitalists. We don't like a lot of government intervention. But I'm not a libertarian at the end of the day. I'm a conservative. And so I believe that our laws should create a better society. And I could go on for days, which I will soon, about the degeneracy of OnlyFans and just pornography in general and how it's just ruining people.
Yeah, this is what my take is. This was a dub. This is like the most base thing I've ever seen in my life, like a candidate propose. And I sent this to you the other day. It was a quote: "If you want to destroy a nation without war, make adultery or nudity common in the younger generation." And I think it's so true. We've seen so many mental health crises and people on SSRIs because of just the anxiety. Fertility is like at an all-time low during COVID. Probably, like, I'm sure pornography just went like through the roof. People were isolated. They weren't going out on dates. They weren't trying to see other people. And so I just think that this is a perfect way to disincentivize degenerate behavior, because you don't want that normalized. Why is this normalized in society that people, as soon as these younger women, these young impressionable women, as soon as they turn 18, that's what they're thinking of doing because of how much money is involved in this? It is absolutely insane. Then you have young impressionable men spending their money on this. And so then it's just creating this terrible society where nobody wants to get married, nobody wants to settle down and have children because everything's so accessible. You log online and you see a pair of boobs like right there. And it's not something that you have to work for or yearn for. Like, men used to have to like show up on your front porch, ask your dad, plead your case to your father of why they're able to marry you, talk about the land that they own, the lifestyle that they're able to provide for them. Women used to not aspire to this lifestyle whatsoever. They used to actually like have fathers in the home with, 2-parent discipline and a church structure in their life in order to give them proper guidance on who to marry or how to start your life when you become an adult. This is insane to me. And then she also goes on in this video, not to keep yapping to you because I want to hear your take, but she goes on in this video and she's like, people for OnlyFans, they're using this to provide for their family more. And it's like, and if you tax them, then that's just overreach. And it's like, Sophie Rain, whatever her name is, she's the top earner on OnlyFans. What do you mean? It's like, you make more money than everyone. Like, she makes hundreds of millions of dollars. And she's like, we're just trying to provide for our families. I'm like, bitch, I think that you can provide for your family. I think you're okay. I promise if you were to get taxed, I think you're okay. So I don't know. I think that and we need to disincentivize this in society. He said that he would put this money towards programs where we're really in need, with making sure that we have healthy foods in our public school systems, which Michelle Obama was supposed to do and never did, to make sure we're getting our homeless vets off the streets, making sure that we're putting this money back into our own country and community and society to make it a better place. And I couldn't be more for it.
My only issue with this is that it doesn't go far enough. I think OnlyFans should be banned. I think all pornography should be banned. I truly think it's
We should ban porn,
I think it's
100%.
the bane of society, and I think it's hurtful for so many parties involved. First of all, let's talk about the young women who get involved, who usually get involved with it at a young age, like 18 years old, where they start, sometimes earlier, by the way, which is child porn, so we're exploiting children. But these young women get involved, and this is not a normal career to get involved in where you can just go back and undo it. You're hurting so many people in the process. You're hurting yourself, that you're exposing yourself in such a degenerate way. You're hurting your own family. You're hurting the people that love you. I mean, there might be cases where people support you around you, but it's not right. You shouldn't. I'm so against the commodification of the human body. It's degenerate, and it's just producing filth in society. And then let's talk about the men who are involved in watching this. You look back at what porn used to be before the age of the internet, and it used to be men that would show up and buy a magazine or maybe some videos, and it was kind of looked down upon. It was almost embarrassing to have to go and buy these things, so it was disincentivized, like you just mentioned. And nowadays, you can log on at any age and access any type of terribly disgusting graphic porn that I can't even begin to wrap my head around. I'm sure you're the same way, Camryn. And it's ruining men's lives. Men have addictions to it in the way that they have towards alcohol or drugs. It's ruining relationships they have. It's perverting young boys who are, like, we're talking before even the age of 10, who are being exposed to this. And then it's exploiting also the people involved in it, where I said, like, there's children involved, there's sex trafficking involved. It is a filthy, disgusting industry that produces nothing of value whatsoever, and it should be completely outlawed. It's ruined countless lives. I think it's as harmful as drugs, to be honest, in this country.
Yeah, I think it should be banned. You're right.
It should be
You just ban porn entirely. And not even to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but this is something our adversaries can use against us. Because if you actually see the brain scans of somebody who's like suffering from some sort of mental disease, I don't know if they put it towards like Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever, put up the brain scans between somebody who watches porn like daily or weekly versus people with like real mental health disorders like schizophrenia and other things, it's exactly the same. Like the brain scan, and fact check me on that, but this is what our adversaries can use against us. It's weakening our men. It's making them have no self-discipline or self-obedience. That's like one of the key things you do with basic training for the military is like you have to have self-control and self-obedience through your, I don't know if it's a 16-week or 6-week basic training before you get into the military. And it can weaken our troops mentally, physically, emotionally. It can weaken our society. It can make our dollar crumble because we're less incentivized to be a productive society, because porn can, you can be so addicted to porn where you don't leave your house.
And you don't have relationships.
It's just
You're
like
not
alcoholism.
building a real family. You're having some
addiction.
online fantasy instead of building a real family and having a real relationship with another woman. So it's just destroying.
Yes, you're not procreating. Fertility is that. And also men become more incentivized to be successful when they have children. Like, let's be totally honest. Like, when you have something to live for and you have people depending on you, you don't have a choice but to get your ass up and go to work and like make sure that you are contributing to society in a healthy way. And if men are just relying on screen time in order to get this like false equivalency to intimacy, it's just it just cheapens sex. It cheapens a relationship. It ruins relationships, like you said, but it cheapens the act. So like they're not even putting any value in it because it's like it's so accessible online. And it's just weakening society as a whole. I mean, I could go on and on about this, Jayme. I think you can hear in my tone of voice how much this actually pisses me off. But like, Sophie, we also need to bring back, and honestly, Brianna, we may cut this out. Can we bring back slut shaming?
Yeah, I
you
agree.
deserve to be shamed for that.
Don't cut
you
that
really
out.
do. This is not okay. We need to ban porn and we need to bring back slut shaming. That is my hot take of the day.
I agree. And it's like these women are drawn to make hundreds of millions of dollars doing this. And this is where I differ from libertarians. I don't want drugs legal on the street. I'm against marijuana legalization. I don't think marijuana produces anything good in society. I don't think any drugs produce anything good in society. I think it just makes our country weaker, sicker, and more degenerate. And I feel the same way, just like I do. Prostitution is not legal in most places, so why should pornography be legal?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any benefit that we have towards society with having widespread pornography, which is exactly what's going on. And, you know, as conservatives, I believe our job is to conserve American values, is to conserve Christian values, and is to conserve our culture and society in the best way possible. I believe that it should be heavily regulated. At the very, very least, there needs to be age restrictions where you cannot be accessing this type of content until you're of the age. And the last thing I'll say too, to touch back on what we talked about earlier, when you're talking about like, oh, there's all these people that are like furries, for example, or they're pansexual, or they're like have these weird kinks, that is for pornography. I'm convinced of that. The reason why we have so much sexual degeneracy in our culture and we don't have normal marriages in the same way that we used to, where people would have a normal family and have kids and live a nice, beautiful life together how God intended us, is because people are being exposed to pornography and it's causing massive issues in their life. It altering their brain chemistry, perverting the mind. I really believe there's a reason why serial killers, a lot of them were porn addicts. That's how they started out. It perverts the mind in a way that we can't even begin to understand. And so I want to protect both men and women, the woman involved in this and the men that are watching, by just making this illegal. It's filth. Get it off our streets, get it off our computers, get it out of this country. We don't want it.
Yeah, we need to stop normalizing it for sure.
All right, you guys, headed into our next section, Q&A. And we love hearing from you girls. As always, you guys ask the best questions. If you have not asked a question yet or you want to ask another one, make sure you go to sincerelyamerican.com/ask-a-question. Let's get into it, Cam. Okay, our first question of the day is from Charlie from Virginia. What is a fashion trend you girls are hoping makes a comeback in 2026?
Well, I know this won't make a comeback, but I love the Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian era of like the juicy couture tracksuits. Like that was an era that I will forever be stuck in, because when I tell you, I used to beg my mom. Now they're in like Kohl's and everything, and it's like, but it used to be like something to aspire to. Like you wanted every single color of this juicy couture tracksuit, and especially if it had the rhinestones on like the butt. Like that was the cutest thing ever. I don't know. I just felt like that was just such a fun era, and like it made things comfy but like stylish. Something about it. I don't know. The aura surrounding that, I miss it.
This is like such a niche thing. This is like the first thing that came to my mind. I loved back in the day when those like Abercrombie tight little V-neck tops that you would wear with like your flared jeans. Like I'm talking about Elena Gilbert Core from Vampire Diaries. If you guys ever saw, like loved her style. I thought she was like so beautiful in that show. Like everybody wanted to be her. I don't know. I just like that like Abercrombie core. I thought it was really cute. So
yeah, that is cute.
I think maybe more of a thing that might actually come back. I actually like skinny jeans, like skinny jeans with some boots. So I hope skinny jeans come back in. All right, next question. Serafina from Utah says, in 2026, I'm really focusing on becoming the best version of myself, which I know you girls talk about a lot on the podcast. What would you say is the season of life you're in right now? I'm a similar age to you all, and I look up to you both. That is so sweet.
Yeah, that is really cute. I would say the season of life that I'm in, I mean, I was very, very fortunate. I talk about this a lot, but I was very fortunate to like get my start in politics very young. And I was a young professional in DC by the age of 20, and I was able to graduate early. And so I did have a lot of those milestones earlier in life. So I feel like I've already experienced a lot of life. I've had the jobs with being a White House correspondent, working in the White House with Jayme. And so I'm very fortunate to have done this at such a young age. And now obviously we have our show. We like going on Fox to commentate on certain issues that we feel passionate about. But I would also just say in this season of life, though, I used to feel so go, 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 go all the time. And I've really tried in this season to slow down a little bit more, because I used to think that time was running out. And I do think there's a healthy balance to it, right? Like every single day is not promised. You need to live it to the fullest. But I also think if you're younger, it's okay not to be in fight or flight all the time, or to be bored sometimes. I feel like social media, we talked about this earlier, Jayme, where you constantly have to be stimulated with something, or like going out to eat or whatever. Like I think it's okay to be bored sometimes, be slow, get caught up with whatever you need to do around the house. Like, it's okay to say no to certain things and prioritize yourself if you need to. Like, everything in moderation, of course. Obviously, sometimes you have to do things you want to do to get to the places that you want to be. But I think right now I'm just like in a softer season where I am just trying to balance everything correctly, balancing things with work, balancing friendships, balancing, my relationship with my husband and seeing my family. And so that's where I'm at right now.
I love that. I think the season of life that I'm in right now, when I first had Vivian, I kind of took a little time off and was just solely focused on being a mom. And that's still, of course, my number one focus. But I will say, I think I am in a little bit more of a go, go, go season of my life where I'm like really trying to launch everything that we're doing with the Conservatoire and Sincerely American. I'm just really passionate about a lot of these things. And Camryn and I both have had just such amazing opportunities. And so I am in that booked and busy kind of season of life. And I love that. I think I'm in like a say yes to almost everything. And it's definitely like the last few months, I feel like since we watched the podcast, Camryn, have been just a whirlwind because I'm just like go, go, go to everything, traveling everywhere, trying to do everything. But I do think for me, I'm happiest doing that. And I think it's an exciting time and I just want to fully take advantage of that. But I think that there are times in your life, like I said, even a few years ago when I first had Vivi, where I was definitely just like wanting to focus fully on being a mom. And it is a lot to juggle being a mom and doing everything, but you can. You just have to plan accordingly and you don't get a lot of sleep. I'll say that. Okay, next question. Kat from New York. Hi girls, what kind of skincare products do you use? I remember in a previous episode you talked about doing full glam. Sometimes my skin gets so bad after wearing a lot of makeup. Any tips? XOXO.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Jayme, we deal with this. Like, we do full faces of makeup, and I remember we had like back-to-back Fox hits one weekend, and we were like, our skin is destroyed after this, and doing our TikToks and everything. And so I relate to this on such a deep level. I think it depends on your age, because when you start to get a little bit older, you incorporate a little bit more. Like, you start using a retinol, you start using vitamin C, but obviously, like, first and foremost, use SPF every single day on your face, every single day, even if you're not out in the sun.
Especially you being in California now.
Yeah, I use that. And honestly, like, this isn't a product, but like red light therapy. Red light therapy, like, it helps like boost the skin cells and collagen production in order to like regenerate new cells to look more youthful. And so I've been like not using as many topical products and just making sure that I have like a healthy diet. I'm staying hydrated. This also isn't skincare product either, but like, wash your pillows every week.
That is so true.
You would be shocked how many people don't wash their pillowcases every week and how much oil and dirt and bacteria grows on there to make your skin break out. Like, if you're somebody who's prone to breakouts, you need to be mindful of like, how much water did I drink today? What am I putting into my body? Like, what am I consuming? Is it a bunch of sugars and carbs? Or am I like fueling my body to make my skin look healthier and rejuvenated? I would honestly just say plan from the inside out, like fix your gut, and that'll in turn like fix your skin. For sure.
I agree with all of that. I think there's some days where like I'll shoot the podcast or I'll shoot a Fox hit or I'll have some event where I have to wash off my makeup and redo it in the same exact day because like the makeup, like everyone knows this, can get like crusty after a while. And it really is like, it dries out my skin a lot. So if you are someone that's wearing a lot of makeup for your career, for whatever reason, I would recommend investing in facials. Like, I feel like a facial every like 2 months or so can like really help, like get that old gross barrier off and like renew your skin. And then my other huge tip is I am a huge fan of those collagen overnight masks from Medicube.
Yes.
I swear that just like, if you I feel like sometimes when your skin's dry, it can like almost bring out like some like wrinkles or something or fine lines. When you wear that, it just like, it literally makes your skin look like glass the next day. Like I'm going to something tomorrow. So I have obviously my makeup on now. So I'm going to wipe that all off and then do my mask overnight because it's just such like a perfect way to like rebuild your skin barrier and make it look amazing. And like you said, Camryn, huge on moisturizer too. A lot of times actually underneath those Medicube, I will do my full skincare and then put the Medicube on top. So it really like locks in my vitamin C, my retinol, my moisturizer, my oils and everything. And I feel like it makes my skin look so nice.
Okay, I would also say get rid of makeup remover wipes because when you're using the wipes, it's like you're pulling on your skin barrier and you're like pulling where you could get more fine lines and wrinkles, like I would do a cleansing balm or like a micellar, is it micellar or micellar water in order to like really get the, if you wear like mascara, like mascara off and stuff, but a cleansing balm changed the game. You can't just use like a face wash in order to get your makeup off
I
because some
always steal your
residue will say
Tatcha
that.
thing.
Yes, yes. I use that Tatcha thing. Elemis, it's a French brand. They have a really good one. Or just the Garnier micellar water is really, really good. Or Loctanes is good too.
That's great advice. Skincare is so important. If you don't have good skin, your makeup's never going to look good. So I think it's like very important to invest in that. All right,
Yeah.
girls, getting into hot or not, our favorite section of the day. Okay, Camryn, the Hermes game. And does this have to do with like Camryn and I, we always just like shoot each other stuff. Does this have to do with like, like purchasing a Birkin, the whole thing that goes into that? Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, it's like like developing the really close relationship with like
Yeah.
one particular sales associate
Yeah.
and like making sure that you're purchasing all of the things in order to work up to like a leather appointment. And let's say like you get offered a Picatin or something. It's not like a Kelly or a Birkin yet, but you have to purchase those bags. For this, I'm going to go not. And here's why. I just think it's just this overconsumption. If you want a Birkin, just go on like Forward or I don't think Revolve has them, but like Forward or Farfetch or like wherever you can get like a brand new Birkin with tags or like a Kelly with tags. Why do you have like, I just think this is spending money on nothing. Like who is playing this game? And like when you die, you're not going to be remembered as somebody who had like a close relationship to your sales associate, like at Hermes. So I'm just going to go
so
not.
funny,
As much as I love designer bags, and I will spend money on designer bags and designer goods, and I take pride in my appearance. I am somebody who does not want to play this game. I don't want to play it. If I want a Birkin or a Kelly someday, it's probably going to be my husband. I'm going to tell my husband, do not try to even play that game. Just go on a different third-party site, make sure that they have like a really great authentication process and get it there. There's no reason to purchase hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff that you're probably going to resell anyways just to get this Kelly or a Birkin offered to you. Maybe. It's like slim chance, you know?
I completely agree. And can I also say this? I've told you this too, Camryn. I love a Birkin when you're like, I don't know, 40 and above. I think it's cheesy to have a Birkin in your 20s. Like, I don't think that's a 20-year-old bag. I think that's a bag for like a very not older, because you're not old at 40, but you know what I'm saying? A more mature, sophisticated woman. Like in your 20s, there's so many like cute designer bags. I feel like you should do kind of maybe smaller bags when you're in your 20s and then go for like the bigger bags when you're older. So I don't know. I
think a Kelly's cute if you're younger. Like I do think a Kelly bag is cuter.
But it's
like a mini.
To me, it's like cheesy, like when someone has like is 25 years old and they have like some massive diamond. Like I'm like, it's giving cheese ball to me. Like I don't know. I don't like it. Like I think that's something to look forward to maybe a little bit later in life. Like I said, for our 40-year-olds, you guys are not old at all. I'm not saying that, but I'm talking like in your 20s. So I'm going not with that. And I agree with you. If I ever have the luxury of one day being able to buy a Birkin, I will be doing a third-party site as well. Natural deodorant.
I'm going to go not for this one too. I've tried it, you guys. I've tried to be aluminum free. I've tried my hardest to like get on this trend and make sure I'm not giving myself lymphoma, like with all these chemicals I'm spraying, but I go back to the Dove spray every single time, and it's so bad for you. I try not to put it on. Like if I take a shower at night, I won't put on deodorant at night, like only when I start my day after like I shower again. But I just can't get into natural deodorants. One, they make me like get rashes. So I know like TMI, it's weird, but my skin's like super sensitive to it. And I just don't think they work. Like nobody that uses natural deodorant smells good in my opinion.
I agree. I'll out myself. I use like Drake's Speed Stick.
Yeah.
Sorry, I do. That's what I use.
Yeah.
I'm going not as well. I'll sacrifice the health to smell a little bit better. I'm trying not to have BO. Okay, tan lines, hot or not?
Oh my gosh, I used to say not, but now I don't see a problem with it, especially if it's summer. Maybe if like you're laying in the tanning bed in the winter, which I mean, obviously we don't want to condone, but we understand there's some situations here or there whether you're going on a trip or you have a wedding or something you want to look good at. We understand like laying maybe once or twice, but I don't know. I used to like always make sure I didn't have a tan line and like try to like plan with my swimsuits, like whether it's like a bandeau or whatever, and like douse myself in, of course, like sunscreen and stuff. But now I just don't care. I think it can be cute sometimes, like to have a tan line. So I'm going to go hot.
I'm going to go not for the reason that I don't ever just tan. I just go into a spray tan booth. We all know that about me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't ever, I'm so nervous about my skin. As you can see, I'm like naturally pretty fair and I don't want to get any skin damage. So if I'm in a pool in a bikini, I'm laying underneath the umbrella and I just get a spray tan. So there's no tan lines involved in a spray tan. Even though I will admit, a spray tan never looks as good as a real tan, but at least it's less damaging to the skin. Reality television.
I know. I put this down and I don't even know. I would say not. I watch Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Like, I will admit, like, guilty as charged. I watched that. I did think the show was stupid. However, I like the cast. So I wanted to watch it. Like, I like hearing the tea, essentially. And that was one that I liked because they do have more, like, Christian conservative values. Like, I think there's only, like, 2 girls on that show that don't. So I do like supporting that, but as for reality television goes, I'm just gonna go not in general.
I love the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I will fully admit that I watch that slop. That is slop TV. My husband's like, Jayme, this is just complete slop. Like, and can I actually do a quick side note? What I can't stand about reality TV, and the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives are also a part of this. I have a daughter, and sometimes, like, I just want to have something in the background while I'm just, like, folding clothes or cooking and she's playing. But they swear so much, I can never have that show on around her. So it's like, I'm like,
Oh,
just so
yeah.
many of these shows are just so trashy. They're cussing. I'm just like, can we have, like, a little bit more, like, family-friendly something? But never. Aside from The Secret Lives, it's the only reality TV show I watch. I've never been, like, a Bravos or a Real Housewives fan, but props to anyone into that. We've, like, watched, like, a few seasons together, Cam, of, like, The Bachelor. Like, I feel like we'll watch it when Taylor is the Bachelorette. But it has to be,
Yeah.
like, the perfect person for me to be into it. So I would say in general, not. Okay, whole milk.
I have such like a love-hate relationship with whole milk, only because it can make me break out. Like if you're prone to breakouts, they tell you just to, like cut dairy out completely. But my husband will use it like in smoothies and stuff when I preferably like an alternative milk. And I know everybody's coming out and they're saying like all these alternative milks are so bad for you. Like I understand that, okay? But I genuinely, for somebody who doesn't want to use water in a smoothie, I will use like almond milk or oat milk. But I'm going to go hot because I know it's better for you, but like my skin just can't tolerate it, if that makes sense.
I'm really lucky. I've never been someone that gets like breakouts because of dairy. And I feel like we always have whole milk in the fridge because of Vivian, who's 3 years old. And like, she's kind of off milk now, but when she was younger, going off of formula, she did a lot of whole milk. And so to this day, I still buy it. I'm so against these nut milks. Like you won't see me drinking almond milk anymore or oat milk. Like, so many of them have seed oils and everything. I just believe in, you know, having like a pasture raised, grass fed whole milk. And so I'm hugely in favor of it. Am I drinking a glass on its own? No, but I'll incorporate it into my coffee. I'll give it to Vivian. And Camryn, for smoothies, you should do coconut water if you don't want to do any milks.
Yeah, but you can also, I've seen videos, this is so camcore, like I'll dabble in like making my own butter and stuff. I did that recently, but I've seen videos of people making their own almond milk and they just use almonds and water and then they strain it. And then it's like a natural almond milk. So I don't think that that's bad for you.
It's not bad
But, yeah.
for you unless you're getting the ones that, like I said, have like all the seed oils.
Yeah,
and
have
you make it
all
your
those
own.
chemicals in it. Yeah. And it's like, this isn't even milk. This is just like poisoning me.
But also it's like a nut juice. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Yeah.
nut extract. Like, as someone who drank a lot of that was huge, like growing up in California, but I don't know. I just like rather, I don't get breakouts.
It's like these
from milk.
oh my gosh, here in California, what I can't stand is like you'll go to this like some random coffee joint, right? And then this person will be like, I want vegan coffee grinds and I want this alternative milk with my with my agave. Don't you dare put like
The
stevia
agave
in there. And
sweetener.
they're like, everything natural. And I'm like, you're the same person who like go get an abortion next week. Like you're like,
It's so true.
I'm like, you're asking for all this natural stuff. I'm like, there's like nothing natural about like what you're doing on the weekends. That like, let's be so real. Like that, especially if you're from like you know this because you're from California.
Yeah.
Or like if you live here, it's just this culture of like, you're always like, do you have any dietary restrictions? Like, do you? And then they're like, yeah, I'm vegan, gluten free. Like naming everything off the list. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Especially if you haven't gotten like a natural food sensitivity test. I'm like, don't even start with that. Can you just eat a steak and shut up?
I
Please?
used to be, because I grew up in California, I used to be vegetarian. That is a story for another time. I'll probably go into detail about that in like one of our episodes in the future. I am not anymore. I love a good steak, but that is so normalized in California. I completely agree. Okay, last one, mouth taping.
Oh my gosh, I haven't done this forever, but I'm gonna go hot because this is so gross. I sleep with my mouth open.
I do
And
too.
Jayme, I know you do too, because we have shared rooms together where we're both sleeping with our mouth like wide open. And if you're a mouth breather at night, it can actually like change your jawline. Like in the future, it can
Slack
make it
jaw,
become
right?
yes, or something where it's like pointed like this instead of going out.
Yeah.
And that's like my biggest fear. I never want to develop that. And so will I say I do this every night? No, I will never lie to like our Sincerely sisters, but I think it's hot and I think I should. So
I walked in on Camryn in the air mattress in Vivian's room with her mouth tape on, a face mask, a bonnet in her hair, and like an eye mask. And it was like 17 layers of something. And I had to like ask her a question. She had to like remove each layer to like talk to me. I was like,
remember that? It's the bonnet for me. Yeah. It's the bonnet.
it's like what we do to like look good. I wish I could mouth tape because everything you said is correct. Anytime I have mouth tape, like I have a big mouth. I am like a mouth breather. I guess it's like gross. I can't do it. It feels like I'm like dying.
No, I know. It actually like sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night like not being able to breathe. I'm like, oh, it's because my body's trying to go back to like mouth breathing. But now they have ones where there's a little tiny hole.
I see that.
Where you can like breathe through it anyway.
Okay,
I don't know.
at this
I'm
stage
go
of
hot,
life,
though.
I'm just trying my hardest to be able to fall asleep at night, so I don't need any like barriers that make it more difficult to do so. Like
You're
maybe
not
one
bound
day.
to those hurdles. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys, last section of the day. Propaganda that we're not falling for. Camryn, what's yours this week?
Okay, propaganda that I'm not falling for, this is so funny because we were just talking about this, is euphemizing sex work. I hate when people do this where they're like, they call the OnlyFans girls bops.
Yeah.
Or they call like prostitutes midnight ballerinas now. And I'm like, stop
seen that
trying
one yet.
to normalize it. Oh, I've seen it. It's everywhere. And I'm like, bops, midnight ballerina, just say you're a prostitute.
Yeah.
Say you're in sex work. I'm so sick of like them trying to normalize this or even kind of romanticizing it with like these different terms and euphanizing it. I am not falling for this propaganda. I'm going to call you an OnlyFans whore or a prostitute. That's like,
I see TikToks where it's like, get ready with me to be a mattress actress. I'm like,
oh, a mattress actress. Yes, that one too.
yeah.
That one too.
No,
Yeah.
I am fully with you on that. Okay, mine's also serious. What I'm doing, I'm like always looking for something to rant about. Propaganda I am not falling for is toxic empathy. And I feel like the progressive movement has just weaponized empathy with women because I feel like women naturally, want to take care of things. It's our biological instinct to have empathy for other people, but it's been directed completely in the wrong direction. And I think this is largely because people are not having kids anymore. And so like for me, I don't know, as a mom, like most of my empathy is going towards my child and focused on that. But a lot of these childless women in this day and age, instead of putting that towards kids, they are putting that towards illegal migrants and criminals. And this is my biggest pet peeve about the progressive movement. I do not understand why we are prioritizing illegal migrants who are many times are dangerous, violent criminals who have targeted Americans and criminals just in general, whether they're American citizens or not. You see with this like soft on crime policies that they're voting for, this criminal justice reform, talk about a euphemism, where they're letting violent felons, they have more empathy for violent felons where they're like, oh my gosh, well, all these terrible things and circumstances happen in their lives. That's why they're committing these heinous crimes. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't really care because what I care about are the victims of these crimes. I care about the women, the children that have been irreparably damaged because of these criminals. So I'm the opposite of criminal justice reform. I want more people incarcerated. I want more people in prison. I want to put violent felons away. And when it comes to illegal migrants, I thought this was the best video. This happened in Minneapolis. We'll play it.
For your reporting, we're here to arrest a child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking.
Oh, they're not. No, we're press. No, we're not.
That vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting.
So basically this guy's like, why are these white women out here protesting me when I'm trying to literally arrest a sex criminal who preyed upon a child? And you're out here protesting and you're not allowing me to make this arrest and deport this terrible person back to their home country. I just don't understand for the life of me, like, why we have empathy towards, like, frankly, some of the worst members of our society. Instead, my empathy goes towards my fellow Americans who are law-abiding, tax-paying citizens who I want to do everything I can to protect so our children grow up in a safer country, so my kids can walk around the neighborhood and not have to worry. And that means having to be tough on crime, and it means also being tough on immigration because, you know, I understand why a lot of these people from other countries want to come to America. I completely understand. I have empathy. I don't wish them any ill will. However, we have homeless veterans on the street. We have people living in poverty. We have terrible education systems in our inner cities. So I want all of our money and resources dedicated towards my American fellow citizens, not random people from around the world. I don't wish them ill will. And a lot of times we've seen, because Joe Biden just opened up the border and let anyone into this country, a lot of them have done terrible crimes and are ripping the taxpayer off or going after our own children. And I'm like, I can't take that risk. My empathy goes towards my own Americans. So long story short, that is my rant. I just can't stand how progressive women always are prioritizing criminals and migrants and illegal criminal felon migrants over our own citizens. My empathy is towards my family and my neighborhood and my fellow citizens first.
Well, and I think that their empathy is conditional, right? Like, where was this empathy for Charlie Kirk when he was brutally assassinated? Or yes, or Rachel Good, or any of these, or sorry, Rachel Morin. Who else was the other one as well?
And Jocelyn Dongeri.
Yes.
I mean, there's been hundreds of people who have been victims of.
There's so many people, and also it's just like you can't have conditional empathy either. And it's like, you want to say it's a clump of cells as well as what they'll say too. And it's like, imagine saying that to like somebody who just grieved a miscarriage.
Yeah,
like these people they don't apply this empathy everywhere in their life. It's like conditional or like one-sided when it fits the narrative. And then on the other side, they'll completely abandon it in order to push forward with their agenda. This woman who was killed, Rachel Good is who Renee Good. Oh my gosh, I keep getting these names mixed up. That's so Cameron Chorus. I always get names mixed up. Renee Good, who was killed, she was also trying to run someone over with her vehicle. And she was a part of anti-ICE watch groups who were known for blocking the street and striking these officers. Yet these people who have empathy for her never had empathy for Charlie when he was just trying to have a peaceful debate on a college campus.
They celebrated his murder,
that is what pisses me off.
A lot of the people who were protesting. Rachel.
Yes, a father of two, celebrating a murder, of a father of two. And you and I can even both acknowledge, I mean, we think it's pretty tragic with Renee Good because she has 3 children.
I'm not celebrating
Didn't make
her
it
death
right.
at all. I wish this
but
never
we
happened.
don't celebrate her death. Exactly. That is the difference, though, is that these people, it's conditional with them.
Can I also say this, too, to set the record straight? When all of these leftists right now, mainly women, are protesting, like, the ICE raids. we wouldn't need ICE raids if the DHS has offered to pay for all the flights for illegal migrants. Hi, if you are an illegal migrant in this country and you're living here illegally, we will pay for your flight to go back to your home country. So there's no excuse to stay. You are just going against our laws, whether or not you're committing more crimes, which a lot of these people have that we've seen, that some of these people have the most heinous criminal rap sheets I've ever seen in my entire life. But there's no excuse. So, and then on top of it too, in red states, we're not having the same issues because these Republican governors are working with DHS, working with our federal government to be able to point out, okay, these people here are illegal, and so they're able to go and remove those people from the country, versus Democratic governors have made this process incredibly difficult that's now called for ICE raids. So there's just absolutely no excuse for this. And I'll say this as well, as someone who like loves a good crime TV show like Breaking Bad or Ozark, I can't imagine, like, I know these are like fictional shows, but these are, you know, based on like real cartels that operate, that kill millions of people, not only with their drugs, but also kill like, you know, people in Mexico, and the cartel members are very violent groups that obviously like civilians get killed because of these groups. Why would you ever want an open border to allow people like that into our country? Like, I just can't wrap my head around it. Like, can we put our empathy towards people who are our own citizens, good, law-abiding people? Like, I just am sick of the toxic empathy. I'm calling it out now. I just, it's so performative too. It's just like to have their protest sign and to get their Instagram photo. It's just performative. Okay, Camryn, what propaganda are you falling for?
So the propaganda that I'm falling for is Joie de Vivre maxing. It's a French term for the joy of living. And we get so caught up in our day-to-day routines where, you know, it's focused on what I need to do that day or what this. And to have time to slow down and just appreciate what you have and like the life that you were given and the privileges and the blessings that God has given you in your life. It's so important to chemically rebalance your mindset that way. I just think so many people get caught up in their daily routines and they don't have time or don't even deem it necessary to sit back and like be present in their life and reflect on like all the joys and just the genuine happiness and with the people that are in it, with the jobs that we have, with the home over, like the roof over our head. These are all things that give me so much joy that we should be joie de vivre maxing.
I love that. I live that way too. So that is definitely propaganda that I'm falling for. Mine is kind of like, I guess like you can say it like, is it easy transition? Because mine is, I love right now like the 2016 throwback core where people are like, 2026 is the new 2016. And this is coming from someone who's a freshman in college, as you were as well, Camryn, because that's a whole other story. But Camryn like literally was such a stud that like she went to college early. But I was a freshman in college. I was out there at Cal, living my best life on Cal game football days, at the fraternities, listening to like Black Beatles and "Baby Pull Me Closer" from the backseat of the whole. What was that band called again? I'm trying to remember.
Not Coldplay. What was it?
No. Oh my God. What? Now we need to look it up quickly.
I don't know. I think of 3 Strikes with Kylie Jenner and her Kylie Jenner lip kits. And then the fact that like Hailey Bieber dyed her hair pink. I think I had like a blue streak in my hair that year before I tried out for Louisville and I had to dye it back blonde.
The Chainsmokers. Oh my God.
Chainsmokers, yes.
No, literally,
yes.
I am obsessed with that era. I just think it was a fun era where it was like when social media, someone explained this on TikTok and I was like, that is so true. Where social media was a thing, because I've always loved social media. I think social media is really fun, but it wasn't like the center of our lives. Like people weren't like doom scrolling like they are today. So it was like fun. And I just loved like California, I feel like was at its peak in 2016, like California core. It was like the matcha, the acai bowl, like taking like with the filtered beach photos. Like I was like living my best life taking those photos. And then also, this is like another thing that I thought of. I feel like now we're finally at the age, like, you know, when parents would be like, you don't even understand what the 80s was like. Like now we get to be like, that's like the one fun thing about getting older. Like the kids don't even understand what 2016 was like at its era, like at its peak. Like people, I don't know. It was a fun year. Trump was elected. People went crazy. It was a good time. I just like 2016 core. The fashion was fun. Like the choker. Isabel, my co-founder, we started being friends like 14 years ago in high school. So we were looking back at photos of us and we were like, we thought we looked so so good. We did not. Like, the confidence we had in some of these photos, I have no words. And the last thing I'll say too, this was like a really fun, this actually like inspired me to like start the conservatoire because I loved like fashion blogging. If you guys remember like Fashion Guitars, Sincerely Jewels, like where you would go out and like take a bunch of photos in like your stupid outfit and then like post it on your blog. Like I just love that era of like the blogging and all of those things. I like, God bless my father. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a travel blogger. Can you like pay for me to travel places and stuff? My dad, like, he just like loved me and always has supported me. But I'm like, God bless him. Like here I was like showing up to like Cabo, Mexico or something on like a fun trip. And I'd be like, here are my recommendations for where to go in Cabo. Like, why was I ever giving anyone recommendations when I had been there like one time? But anyway, that was like my dream to be a travel blogger in 2016. That was just like peak life. But
Yeah, you had like Alexis Wren
Yeah,
and her
yeah.
blogs. Yes, yes.
it was a fun time. All right,
It was an
Sincerely
era.
Sisters, this was such a fun episode. We always appreciate you guys tuning in. So we have a really fun episode next in store. I am going to the White House and I'm going to interview some of the top officials and cabinet members. It's going to be really exciting. So we're going to have a special next week instead of our usual episode. And we'll be asking a lot of topics that have to do with what you guys are interested in, some girly pop topics, and it'll be really fun. So I'm really excited. So make sure you tune in next Wednesday as well. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
We'll see you every Wednesday.